Okay, and again, it's disinfectants, glasses, respirators, masks, as well as other equipment, says this humanitarian act to support President Donald Trump in the current coronavirus pandemic war launched against him by globalist socialist forces was quickly followed by a spokesperson for the United States Department of, Morgan Ortagus. We've got him. The United States and Russia will continue to provide assistance to each other in times of crisis. A declaration of mutual crisis assistance that now has the high command of the land forces considering a response to the rush request just made by the Pentagon for 100,000 body bags. A rush request coming at the same time the Pentagon has sent their doomsday planes into the skies of America, as well as them having sent the entire U.S. military command structure into their fortified nuclear war-protected mountain bunkers. Is that Weather Mountain, Iron Mountain? All occurring at the same time, the United States is reporting a massive surge of weapons purchases, so alarming it's now being said this jump has no precedent in recorded history. And it being asked, is America preparing for civil war? A preview of which is now playing out in Israel, where it being asked, is America preparing for a civil war? But actually, in Israel, if y'all wonder why I'm looking, I've got a window here, so I've got things passing by that catch my eye and so forth, a lot of things going on. I've never seen so much traffic on this road in the last 12 years. Everybody's supposed to be quarantined. God, I've never seen more traffic. Could there be a hint of panic? Could there be an air of mystery? So, evidently these guys are running for the bunkers. As I mentioned, look into Weather Mountain, Iron Mountain. What's going on in Colorado? Check that out, especially the airport. Have you noticed a pullback? Has there been a federal and state pullback over the last 2 to 5 years of edifices specifically? Do y'all know? From coastal regions, North American continent, CONUS. If there has been a pullback of corporations and infrastructure relevant to state and federal governments, I would look at that and I'd be curious to know, is there going to be a meteor hitting the planet? Is it going to hit the ocean? Is there going to be egress? Is there going to be exodus? Diaspora? So, it says Israel is experiencing coronavirus pandemic riots. It's making clear why Israeli military and political leaders have now followed the American lead as they too have activated their doomsday bunker. Hopefully the, what's that called? The Hercules? Not the Hercules. What's Israel's term they use for the global, if you're not going to play, then we're toasting the whole shit house? What the hell is that? I can't remember. I'll think of it. American people still fail to realize that the coronavirus isn't a pandemic. It's the opening battle of World War III. Again, these are just some of the headlines out there I'm sharing with y'all. I'm not saying it's true. I'm not saying it's false. I'm just saying go check it out. Got some time right now. According to this report, in the MOD's consideration of the rush request made by the Pentagon for the 100,000 body bags. So they need 100,000 body bags. Okay, I remember reports from 1985, 1995. What do they say? Massive, massive body bags accumulated by FEMA and the U.S. government, federal and state governments. Millions and millions and millions created and put all over the place. Remember that? Okay. So that's going to be pertinent to this. Keep that in mind. They're claiming that for potential civilian use as deaths could soar in the coming weeks from the coronavirus pandemic. A number of glaring inconsistent with fact realities stood out. Chief among them, the fact that Medical Products, Ltd., is the leading manufacturer of body bags in the United States, and as the prime vendor supplier to the Department of Defense, who's been awarded the U.S. military's Vendor Excellence Award for high quality and prompt delivery, has supplied the Pentagon with a stockpile of body bags estimated to be in the hundreds of thousands, and by itself could produce 100,000 more in about a week, which is a production rate of 595 body bags at an hour for a continuous 24-hour, 7-day period, and well within this company's capabilities. Equally as perplexing about this Pentagon body bag request, this report points out is with yearly normal deaths in America being 2,813,503 out of their population of 330 million, their nation is well equipped to handle the 7,708 human deaths it averages on a daily basis and in fact, our daily human deaths made even more manageable because the rates of death from all other causes in the U.S. have now plummeted to historic lows because of the coronavirus pandemic. It's grinding everything to a halt, all normal activities in each respective nation. So, there's so many different facets to this whole thing while it's playing out. There's many different things that one could take, one might consider, that might aid one. There are many different things that might help, that might assist when one is researching virology or viruses. So, with that in mind, while one is researching viruses and virology, one might want to be certain of what one's biosuit needs certain fuels and elements to perform while floating around on this rotating boulder we call Earth. Okay, now, with that being said, all the normal things of how that monkey shit's exited. Manufacturing Phobias, the political production of fear in theory and practice. Edited by Hisham Ramadan and Jeff Shantz. Check that out. In that publication, American people remain uneducated as to how economic and political elites mobilize fears of terrorism, crime, migration, invasion, and infection to twist political and social policy and advance their own agendas. Definitely worth looking into, especially since that's something that I've been looking into, specifically since 1979. But I'm not refined. I don't have the sophistication. I don't have sheepskins. I don't have education. I'm not well traveled, not well versed. I'm not excellent in advertising. I'm not prolific in production. I'm not knowledgeable about wisdom. And I'm not an expert in finance. But I'll tell you this, where I come from, there's nothing better than wearing the sweater that Mommy made. So, as to exactly why the American people are being bombarded with coronavirus pandemic manufactured fear, this report explains is in order to place their minds in war mode. Guys, kids, folks, my fellow countrymen, you need to recognize the fact that there's a momentum here. There's organic and inorganic to this whole scenario that one needs to consider. Capacitance, inductance, transductance. There's so much to this. And there are so many highly, highly refined, intelligent bodies that are going to ride this fucking wave. This is massive, man. This is such an adjuvant and excipient and catalyst for so many variants. Wow, it's so charged. Charged in the air of annihilation and creation. Wow, Tesla comes to mind. You know Trump's got access to time machine. Residuals. Reports. Transactions. This whole thing, I from what my research, we're in timelines. Timelines, Time warfare. Are you my friend? Bitty, bitty, bitty. Okay, so, again, all the Americans getting thrown into war mode. New World Order. And there will be. While at the same time, keep hidden from them what is really being fought over and by whom, which in this case sees the world's national populist forces being led by President Trump in a battle to the death against the global socialist forces being led by Communist China, and whose most dangerous faction are the rabidly anti-Trump globalist socialist forces in America. They're aligned with Communist China, and they are deeply embedded in the U.S. military and intelligence communities, as well as in its nation's largest technology companies and leftist mainstream press establishment. As just one of the many examples of how this real war is being played out, under the cover of coronavirus pandemic manufactured distracting fear, this report details was President Trump signing into law last week an act that requires increased U.S. support for Taiwan internationally. That prompted an immediate denunciation by Communist China, who warned it would strike back if the law was implemented. A warning President Trump immediately countered by his ordering the powerful guided missile destroyer USS McCampbell to defy Communist China and sail through the Taiwan Strait. And during this outright defiance by President Trump of Communist China, they saw the USS McCampbell being protected by the U.S. Navy's fearsome nuclear-armed Nimitz-class aircraft carrier USS Theodore Roosevelt. That is until Socialist Democrat Party House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's hometown leftist newspaper, San Francisco Chronicle, published what is being called an unprecedented letter, allegedly written by the captain of the USS Theodore Roosevelt, pleading for it be taken out of action because some of its sailors were infected with the coronavirus. An unprecedented letter, not even read by Secretary of Defense Mark Esper, and about which the U.S. Navy is now warning that whoever leaked the letter, even if it was the author himself, could face disciplinary action for violating good order and discipline. Most particularly because one of the U.S. Navy's most powerful warships protecting them against Communist China has now been taken out of action after being insanely sacrificed on the altar of globalist socialist orthodoxy, and that spits in the face of the hundreds of thousands of U.S. Navy sailors and U.S. Marines who fought and died in World War II while fighting against the Empire of Japan. At the same time, they were infected by some of the most dangerous diseases known to man. There's an old poster put up here that says, "Wanted, dead or alive." It looks like, World War II. Cartooned wanted poster, dead or alive. Number 13130013, Malaria Mike. His alias, Amos Quito. A mosquito. The U.S. Navy, U.S. Army, and U.S. Marine forces fought and won World War II by fighting against their two deadliest enemies that were in the Pacific theater of operations, the Empire of Japan and Malaria Mike. After sabotaging President Trump's defiance of Communist China by taking out of action the USS Theodore Roosevelt, this report continues his globalist socialist enemies then struck at him once again, with this blow being landed on President Trump by the oldest leftist publication in America called The Nation. It celebrated an impassioned argument for socialism in the 21st century, but whose argument against the ventilators, face masks, and hospital beds in 2017. But the Trump administration did nothing. A lying claim The Nation admits buried deep in its hit piece was based on a plan provided to them by a Pentagon official who requested anonymity to avoid professional reprisals. A plan whose actual name is U.S. Northcom Branch Plan 3560, Pandemic Influenza Infectious Disease Response. That most critically important to note about this is a draft plan, without doubt, never read by anyone else but the unnamed individual who wrote it and secreted it away in a Pentagon database, and was written on 6 January 2017 during the Obama administration, 14 full days before President Trump was sworn into office on 20 January 2017. Rather than this suddenly appearing out of nowhere draft plan providing anything of the sort, that the Trump administration did nothing after the Pentagon warned the White House about a shortage of ventilators, face masks, and hospital beds. This report further notes it instead provided yet another critical hit piece of evidence proving that the coronavirus pandemic is a deliberate war action engineered by Communist China, allying globalist socialist forces in America to take out President Trump. Most importantly, because its 6 January 2017 date of writing during the Obama administration came during the same week then President-elect Trump was directly threatened by top Socialist Democrat Party U.S. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, who warned him, "Let me tell you, you take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday of getting back at you." And was also the exact same week the U.S. intelligence community dragged President-elect Trump and his top aides into a tabletop exercise exhibiting a disease crippling the United States worse than the influenza pandemic of 1918. A tabletop exercise showing then President-elect Trump how easy it would be for a virus to destroy the United States. This report says the Ministry of Foreign Affairs previously discussed in depth about with their beyond shockingly noting it's hard not to be impassioned in a time like this and let that reflect through your vocabulary, your cadence, your countenance. That's why I'm not a professional. I'm merely an actor. But if I was a professional, I'd be acting. The early January 2017 tabletop pandemic exercise President Trump was dragged into by the U.S. intelligence community in the days just before he was sworn into office was led by Anthony Fauci, MD, who has been the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease, NIAID, since 1984. What a year, right? Who, upon emerging from this tabletop pandemic exercise that envisioned the United States being destroyed, saw Dr. Fauci proclaiming that there was, quote, "no doubt Trump will face a surprise infectious disease outbreak," end quote. Have you folks looked into the insider trading with regard to U.S. congressmen and senators? Have y'all looked at that? CEOs? Who knew what when? I know you and I didn't, for we are here. Is the wall built to keep those out or those in or both? Or vice versa? Quasi? Shit. After making this proclamation that Trump would be struck by a surprise infectious disease outbreak, emails revealed by WikiLeaks, another CIA-owned op, you folks have got to look into that. Mockingbird, Folks, look into the Obama administration coming out stating they will be using all forms of media against you. Look into the history of the media being used against you. Look up the definition chattel and cattle. Fauci, Dr. Fauci. Wasn't there a Fauci who was prevalent during the fascist movement in the 30s and 40s in Italy? I don't know. After making his proclamation that Trump would be struck by an infectious disease outbreak, emails revealed WikiLeaks. Again, look into the history of WikiLeaks. And look into Mockingbird. And look into handlers. And look into proxies and fences. God damn it. You people have got to know about proxies and warfare. Asymmetrical, mosaic warfare. 21st century. Look into it. Dr. Fauci, WikiLeaks. Fauci sent emails to top Hillary Clinton lawyer Cheryl Mills, which saw him saying about Clinton, "Very rarely does a speech bring me to tears. Please tell her I love her more than ever. Tell her that we all love her. Tell her that we all love her and we are very proud to know her." Which makes it understandable as to why Trump ordered the series of actions he did against the CDC to see what they were planning, and why today Trump has now totally compliant Dr. Fauci on White House lockdown. Why today Trump has now totally compliant Dr. Fauci on White House lockdown.